Roll call?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes. Patrick, come on down. At this time, I'm going to introduce Patrick Boakley, who is with Scout Troop 439, who is interested in making the presentation to us regarding a potential Eagle Scout project.
Okay, hello, my name is Patrick Bogle, and I'm here to present my idea for my Eagle Scout project at Purposeville Park by the basketball courts. I'm planning on doing a entryway I'm going to call it the Eagle's Nest, and with a boardwalk to a circle area with benches and with a information board that will have info about the wildlife. This is what the boardwalk should look like when it's done.
Looks really familiar.
Yeah.
It's the only boardwalk we can find in the woods.
These are some ideas for what the benches might look like. Still trying to decide on what to do. This is where I'm going to put the circular area. This is where the boardwalk is going to connect to the circular area. This is the entryway, walking up, and the sign will be right here. And that's what the information board should look like. That's pretty much it.
Is the boardwalk going in an area that's had a boardwalk there before? No. It's,
No.
okay. What do you need from us?
Benches would be nice.
You got to bring your checkbook? Yeah. Quite the question.
And approval,
His
obviously.
numbers.
And approval.
Are you going to build the benches if we supply the wood? Is that the idea, or you're looking for benches that are already done?
Either or would be fine.
And as you go into Purposeville, where did you say this would be? On the left?
It's by the basketball courts.
Okay.
There's a block of woods at the top of the hill behind the basketball court.
Where the building used to be, or?
No, behind that.
Back.
In the back corner, back left-hand corner of the park.
Okay.
It's an area that's underused right now.
What type of wood, Patrick, are you going to make the boardwalk out so it'll last?
I'm going to try to use all natural products.
You going to look for like cedar or something won't ride or?
Cedar, I would hope.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, Doug?
We went out and looked at the site. There seems to be a natural area in there that's pretty much clear for the most part. Put the circle in. Seems to be a pathway that you can work through the trees, so maybe some trimming, but not any major tree removal. And it would be a nice addition for a sitting area for the park.
Patrick, what's your time frame in terms of doing the project?
Sometime in spring.
Okay. All right, so we've got some time to guide on benches.
Yes.
Okay. All right, we've got a couple members that aren't here tonight. I don't think we need to revisit this again. I'll be happy to take a motion to grant Patrick permission to begin the process of the fundraising that he needs to do for this project and the planning. And we can discuss it with the committee at some point in terms of the feasibility of having benches. At this point, I'll ask for a motion for approval.
I'll make the motion to approve Patrick's Eagle Scout Award and congratulations on your future award.
Nice job, I'll second it, very good.
Roll call, please.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Francis?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes. Patrick, if you'd like, you can we keep that? Do you need to hang on to that? Okay. If you'd like to, you can be excused if you'd like to skip out and head home. I know you probably have homework to do. No. All right, well listen, hey, get a pen out. These meetings are a lot of fun. Bills we did, minutes filed by clerk for August 22nd, 2016 and September 12th, 2016. You were absent for one of these, weren't you?
Yeah, but I listened to the tape.
You comfortable voting on both of these?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay. All right, need a motion for August 22nd, 2016 regular minutes and September 12th, 2016 workshop.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
A second, I'll accept the 12th.
Say that again?
Pardon?
Can you repeat that?
I'll second the motion other than the September 12th, I wasn't here.
Okay. In that case, you need to rescind your motion.
Yeah. Take it back.
Take it back. We'll just do August 22nd. Need a motion. We have a motion for 22nd. Joe, you've seconded. Roll call for that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen.
Yes.
Mayor Lee.
Yes. September 12th. I need a motion to table.
Thank you.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next item is the second reading for the proposed ordinance of wild animals and regulation of the maintenance of agricultural animals on non-agricultural properties entitled Standards of Keeping Chickens. To give you an update on what's happening with this ordinance, we are going to make a motion to table this, not to table it, we're going to continue this to our October meeting. We have taken the ordinance and sent it to the Land Development Board for their review. What the Land Development Board is going to do is to look at the ordinance in terms of setbacks specifically. Committeeman Barton was actually at the meeting. Do you have any comments you want to make on that progress?
Yes, our chairman, Noble McNaughton, at the Land Development Board, did receive the ordinance. It was distributed to all the members of the board prior to the meeting. And our solicitor reviewed it. Basically, the Land Development Board has to make a couple of determinations. Number one, is it consistent with the master plan? If it is consistent with the master plan, is it consistent with existing ordinances, zoning, etc.? And they're indicated mostly the setbacks. At the next Township Land Development Board meeting, the board will review that, and then they'll provide their comments back to this board, which I believe they have 35 days to get back to this board. And then this board can either take those comments and change them into a future ordinance, or they could, with a super majority, override any input from the Land Development Board. So that's where we stand, and that's why the mayor is going to continue it to the next meeting to give the Land Development Board the opportunity to look at the master plan and the ordinances and make whatever recommendations they choose.
Joe, what's the date for that meeting? Do you know offhand?
I don't have it with me, but I believe it's the first.
October the 5th.
It would be October.
October 5th next week. Okay. With that being said, I need a motion for continuance of the second reading of the ordinance entitled Standards of Keeping Chicken.
And that meeting on October 5th is at 7:30. While the board is not mandated to take public comment, we did take public comment the other night. I'm sure we'll do the same. Anyone that wants to come to that meeting, welcome to. I'm sure the chairman will acknowledge it.
Need a motion for continuance, please?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolutions 2016-15 authorizing appointment of architect of record. This has been previously tabled, and I think we're going to, well, we can actually vote on this. The architect of record, I believe the selection made by the committee was Regan Young Ingham Butera, and need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen.
Yes.
Mayor Lee.
Abstain. Motion passes.
Yes.
For the record, Regan Young Ingham Butera has worked on projects for me personally, so I don't feel as though it's my right to vote on that resolution. 2016-103, authorizing approval for Chapter 159 of 2016 Park Development Grant for Priggett's Mill Tennis Court Rehab Project. Need a motion and a second, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen.
Yes.
Mayor Lee.
Yes. Resolution 2016-104, authorizing award of contract for 2016 Parks Project, the Priggett's Mill Tennis Court Rehab. Need a motion, please?
The motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Mr. Barton.
Yes.
Mr. Franzen.
Yes.
Mayor Lee.
Yes. Resolution 2016-105, authorizing the refund of permit application fee.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Doug, for the public's benefit, can you explain this, please?
Okay, this was Sunrun Installations, made an application for a construction permit to put in solar panels, I believe. They ended up not going through with the project because we had done the plan review on it. We were able to, allowed to keep 20% of the original fee, hence the refunding of only $332 because the project is not moving forward with this construction company.
Thank you, Doug. Any questions, comments? We've done that. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes. Resolution 2016-106 of authorizing approval for raffle and bingo license for Seneca Parent Group.
Make the motion.
Second.
Questions or comments? Roll call.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes. Parade permit, Pine Barrens 500 Adventure Ride Eco Tour, November 11th, 12th, 13th. November 11th, 12th, and 13th, 2016. Need a motion, please?
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Any questions or comments on this? Doug, any input you want to make?
It's mainly in the southern portion of the township, on the edge of Oregon State Forest. And it's been reviewed by emergency management, our RMC, and did we?
Yes, so Barton said they.
Okay. So both have reviewed.
Good. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Coming back to some old business to clear up, we are going to get one of three of these done tonight. Discussion of an ordinance granting renewed consent and permission to South Jersey Gas Company to use public streets to furnish gas for light, heat, and power in Tabernacle Township. Committeeman Barton, do you mind explaining this a little bit?
Yes, for reasons that I don't know, but in many
At
years
least you're
ago,
honest.
in 1966, the legislature passed a state statute under Title 48 that gave the municipalities the opportunity to grant a 50-year consent for utilities to use their streets. That covenant is up this year. In Title 48, it has a section where it's a 10-year automatic renewal. And looking at our ordinance, number one, I couldn't find. Doug, do we have an ordinance or anything on record since?
Don't believe we do.
Okay, I didn't think so, but I knew you would research it as I had asked you to. So we don't have anything on record about what happened in 1966. But given that we do have an ordinance that's quite expensive, it's an ordinance that refers to Comcast. When Comcast came into town, and what I've suggested to the mayors that we look at that ordinance and that section of ordinances. That's actually under our chapter 11. And since it was written exclusively for Comcast, and there are other providers now today, that we should revisit that, change that ordinance. And as a committee discussed, do we want to give them another 50 years, or should it be something less than 50? Title 48 says that it can be up to 50 years. And by making it something less would probably give us some leverage. And it should apply to all utilities that want to use the street, whether it's South Jersey Gas, whether it's Atlantic City Electric, whether it's Comcast, whether it's Verizon, whoever wants to get in the street should have this same ordinance. So what I would suggest, Mayor, is for the committee to take a look at our ordinance, which is chapter 11, and make some recommendations to our administrator of how we may want to change that, and change that around and make sure we're getting all the covenants that are in that. In that ordinance, there is a 2% franchise fee that we get from all the subscriptions from Comcast. And Doug, do you know how they calculate that, and do we get that every year from them?
We get that every year. They send us, based on the number of customers.
Okay.
They send us that calculation.
Okay.
Any idea where South Jersey Gas is in terms of their work? Is this going to slow them down a little?
No, I don't think it will, Mayor. They come in, they get a permit for all the work they do. What this will do is, I mean, we're going to have to adopt this ordinance so we're in compliance with the state statute.
Right.
But we should do it, I suggest, for all the utilities that are going to be in the street, not just South Jersey Gas, and reference them all and decide on Do we want to do 50 years? Do we want to do 10 years? Do we want to do 5 years? I think a lesser year would give us leverage if there was a problem, even though we can always deny a permit.
So we can look at Chapter 11 as a committee and then get our comments to Doug.
Yeah, probably it's the next committee meeting.
Does that make sense?
One quick question for you. In your experience, what has been the other townships' use of the number of years that they write these for? Have you seen anything around southern Jersey that are kind of like all over the place?
I was floored when I saw this, and I worked for a utility for 42 years, that this statute went all the way back to 1966, and that they had a 50-year covenant to use the streets. So I'm not sure what the other, I would suspect all the towns have something very similar, 50 years, and it's probably coming up for all of the utilities this year.
So they probably haven't looked at anything either, just something that's been out there.
Yeah, I mean, the Scouters of Gas didn't bring this to our attention by writing us a letter on August 31st with a suggested ordinance to adopt for another 50 years. It wouldn't have been on our radar.
Okay, so we can get, we can review Chapter 11. Doug, you can provide us with.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, what I would suggest when you review that Chapter 11, think about rewriting it for a utility, communications utility, not Comcast by name. It's named, Comcast's name is all through that. That section, and we could just change it to a utility, which would mean communication utility, whether it's Verizon, whether it's Comcast, whether it's some provider we've never heard of.
Okay. Can we get that by, to the end of next week?
The copy of the ordinance, yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion of contract approval for Tabernacle Township and Tabernacle Rescue Squad. We also have discussion of facility use agreement by and between Tabernacle Township and TAA. As I've mentioned in previous meetings, I'd like to have a full committee here to discuss these two contracts. I will say that I got a phone call from Deputy Mayor Yates at about 5:30, and he is very much under the weather. And Mrs. Brown is taking care of some family business, so that's why neither one of them are here this evening. Otherwise, we would be discussing these two contracts. So I will ask for a motion to table at this point for both of these.
I'll make it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Guzzi, you're up.
Sure. 2015 road program, we did have our pre-construction meeting, and Arawak is the contractor, and they're scheduled to begin work next week on that project. So we should start to see some action on that project. And the committee awarded the contract for the park project tonight, so we'll set up a pre-construction meeting and get a schedule on when we can expect that work to get started.
Any questions or comments for Dan? Going back to these two items we just tabled, I want to express to the public specifically that I appreciate your patience with waiting to hear these two items. I think it's really important for the five of us to have some good dialogue amongst us on these two items. They're very near and dear to our heart, both of them, and I want to make sure that we're all on this, not necessarily on the same page. That's not the important part. At least we have the discussion amongst the five of us, which is why we're tabling it. So I sincerely appreciate your patience, and I can tell you that Mrs. Brown and Mr. Yates wish they were here this evening. Doug? Thanks, Dan.
Okay, just to let you know, we've started tire collection. We are around the entire town today and have collected what was set out. We expect this to go on probably for another 2 weeks, and I just ask the public, if they've not put their tires out for today, to please give the office a call and let them know so we have a specific address to pick them up. Also, I have a notice from the mill, which is our insurance overall carrier above our joint insurance fund, and there will be training for committee given at the lake this year on 345 on Wednesday, November the 16th. This year's presentation is Ethics for Local Government Officials. That's all I have for tonight.
Is there a limit on the tires? We have a-
Eight per household, nothing bigger than 1000 by 20 and no rims.
Nothing bigger than what?
1000 by 20, truck top.
11.25 metric, so.
I guess 4 tires from the front of the loader are probably a little big.
Can't take it.
I can't bring here anyway, but because they're in Washington Township, they're hard to get rid of. Anything else? Mr. Kramer?
No, that's all I have for this time.
Joanne? Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Joanne's filling in for Pete Lang this evening. Township Committee. Mr. Barton.
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to introduce 2 agenda items. They have to do with permits for the Tabernacle Historical Society, and I see our construction official, Tom Boyd, is here. The Tabernacle Historical Society filed 2 permits today with the township. One is to rebuild the cemetery across the street. There's 2 buildings with an arch, and one of the buildings needs new joists, it needs new floors, new windows, door needs to be hung, and they're going to put a whole new roofing system on that building and dress it up and make it look better. That's one permit that they filed. The other permit that they filed is for the one-room schoolhouse, which is where Sequoia High School is. There's a one-room schoolhouse called the Township School, is to put a new roof on that building also. They filed those permits, and they had sent a letter to our construction official asking him to waive the fees for the permit fees for that. And rightfully so, he replied that they needed to file the permit, they needed to come in front of the committee. They filed the permit today. He has calculated the fees. I was showing those what those fees are. What we can't waive is the DCA fee. So what I would ask is if you would entertain a motion to waive the fees for those 2 permits for the Tabernacle Historical Society. The cemetery, they have recently taken over the careship of that cemetery, even though they don't own it. So, do you have the numbers for Sean? But I mean, we're not talking about money there.
Actually, I do not have it in front of me.
Okay.
One is in the amount of $176, and the other one was, I believe, $55.
Yeah.
$55 for the school.
I see our construction official.
That's correct.
Is that
Sound right?
So I would ask
Mr. Barr,
that
you're making a motion, is that,
you'll make the motion that waive those 2 permit fees.
Mr. Franzen?
I need a clarification from our attorney. My wife is an officer of that organization, and I'm a member of the organization. I don't know if I can vote for this or, second this or not.
Joanne, I'm also a member, so does this document?
Actually, I'm a member of the Historical Society. So wait a minute, let's think about this for a second. If we've got 3 of us that have, my dues are paid up, yours, you've got officer issues, and you're paid up. What do we do, Joanne?
That's a necessity.
Okay.
Otherwise, it
All right.
will never happen.
Okay.
Even if the other 2 aren't.
Okay. Can you clarify for the public what we're going to do?
Yes, the doctrine of necessity allows the committee to actually perform their job when there may be an appearance of a conflict. A lot of times it comes up with churches, when churches ask for something from the committee, and most of the members on the committee are members of the church. So in this case, they can invoke the doctrine of necessity, and they could go about their business and vote on this motion.
With that being said, Mr. Bard, you want to re-entertain the motion?
Mr. Friend, did you make the motion?
Yeah, you made
You
it. I hesitated on the second, so
Okay.
the second now.
So we've got a first and a second, Mr. Barton and Mr. Franzen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anything else, sir?
The other thing I have is I see some of the fire departments here, and we received a communication October 7th, October 10 is the fire department's open house. Right, Cheryl?
Yes.
From 6 to 9, the public's invited, right, Rudy? So hopefully everybody will come out between 6 and 9 on October the 10th, and hopefully it's a nice evening, Cheryl. And they usually have some soft drinks and some hot dogs and things for the kids, so bring your children and grandchildren and have a good time. And hopefully our new fire truck will be there, yes? Yeah?
I don't know, I hope so.
Okay.
Doug?
We hope so.
Okay.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Barton. Mr. Franzen?
I mentioned it last meeting, I'll mention it again tonight. December 2nd is the tree lighting ceremony. This will be our 3rd year of it, and We're having a meeting next week, the core group that's putting it together, and you'll be hearing more from that group during the near future.
Is that being done through the rec committee?
Yeah, Mark is working with us, yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Boyd, come on down. I'd like to introduce Tom Boyd. Mr. Boyd's our, you can come on up. I don't think you have the mic back there. Oh, well. For those of you who don't know, Mr. Boyd began with the township at the end of last year and has done a stellar job thus far. He's here to give us a report this evening.
I just wanted to bring the committee up to speed on some of the things going on. We are currently in court with 2 cases. First being 68 Summit. We've been in court with them for quite a number of years as far as for rubbish on the property and debris and noxious growth on the property. We'll be back in court once again on the 4th of October. Hopefully that will put an end to that, as well as 9 Worrell. This was an issue that was brought forth before the committee by several concerned residents probably back about February. Committee allowed us to go forward with the new ordinance 2016-4. So in conjunction with the township solicitor, we've been working on that through both the court efforts and we're going to be having a hearing. The next court appearance will be on the 4th of October, and then the township hearing for that will be on the 17th. In conjunction with that, I'd like, for consideration of the committee, there are 2 other homes that fit this description as far as being unsafe structures. One of them is on Avenue B, the other one is on Moore Road. The one on Avenue B has, according to residents in the neighborhood, has been vacant and abandoned for in excess of 7 years. Due to the lack of maintenance on the dwelling, the building is in such a condition that some of the floor joists are actually being rotted out, that the exterior of the building has, the exterior siding has been removed, and the floor joists themselves are rotted out, so it could be potential structural issues. So I would seek the committee's permission on that I get together with the solicitor and move forward with that. The other one is on Moore Road. This was a home that had suffered a fire approximately 2-3 years ago. They're in the process of rebuilding it. However, the building project has stopped at this point. Technically, the UCC permit for that building would be null and void because of that. And there is evidence in the building that the person is utilizing it either as a residence and or for bathroom facilities. The building is filled with debris. The front yard is filled with debris. Once again, it's just an area for vermin, insects, rodents, and so forth. So I would like the Township's committee to move forward with that one as well. Just one other one.
Before you continue on
Yes,
that,
sir.
do you have any more action you to take on that, on those 2 items, those 2 addresses?
Do we need committee's permission for the?
We're going to do it. I just want to know if you had any other
No,
ones.
those are the 2 I need.
Okay. I'll ask for a motion for Tom to go to work with Pete for Avenue B Road.
I'll make it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. What else you got, Tom?
Thank you. And then the last one I just wanted to advise you on was a home on Lee Drive, which is vacant and abandoned, and there are several boats, abandoned vehicles in the yard. We have been unable to make contact with the homeowner. Tried several resources, we've been unable to make contact. We're trying to continue to try to pursue it, but it's one of these that it just recently went vacant, so we're in that time period. So if you folks get any complaints, we are aware of it, we are acting on it, we're attempting to serve notice. We've just been unsuccessful in that aspect.
Tom, are there tags on them vehicles?
They are tags. One of them had a Pennsylvania tag. One of them, from what it appeared, I did not actually go in the yard, but it appears that the inspection sticker, was expired.
Can the state police have any help to identify the owners of those vehicles?
I have a feeling the owners of the vehicles were the previous owners of the house, and we're trying to.
Okay.
So it's just, one of those. It's in the center of it.
Okay.
So, also, I've been working with several commercial occupancies in an effort to understand there's been some uniform fire code violations that have been presented to businesses throughout our community that folks have not quite understood. So our office has been working with a lot of these businesses in order to try to get that moving forward. As a result of that, our office was actually investigated by Regulatory Affairs. Regulatory Affairs did an investigation, they came in, they found no deficiencies on our part, so that was clear. But as a result of those things that were going on, Regulatory Affairs was going in. Just in case you're not wondering, Seneca High School, the front entrance is going much slower than anticipated. So it's no fault of ours, but it's just one of those things that we're dragging. It's supposed to be done by the opening of school. Obviously it isn't. And then finally, I received my certification for Rutgers for community noise enforcement. So I am now official noise enforcement.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. At this point, we're going to open the meeting to public comment. If you're interested in being heard this evening, please come to the front of the room, raise your hand. 3 minutes, I'm sorry. Where's my train of thought here? If you're interested in being heard this evening, please raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Is it the way it used to be, state your name and all that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. George Gates, G-A-T-E-S. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm not too good at hearing. I couldn't hear what you said, but I know you was talking about the chicken ordinance, or and it was getting deferred, or you're going to look at it at a later date. I thought today the decisions were going to be made today. So am I able to comment about that now?
You can. I will tell you, Mr. Gates, we're planning to clarify, we have taken the ordinance and sent it to the Land Development Board, the language of the ordinance. The Land Development Board is going to review it. They have 35 days from the time that we release it to look at it, give their comments, and then get those back to us. They are meeting on October the 5th, and you're welcome to go to that meeting. I imagine they will take public comment. Knowing the chairman, I imagine he will take public comment. You can make public comment at that point. You'll also have an opportunity to be able to make public comment at the hearing, the public hearing for that, which will probably be in October, which will be our next meeting. That's the 4th Monday in October. So there's more than ample time to talk to two different governing bodies, one the LDB and one us, on your opinion or your thoughts regarding that ordinance.
Well, one of the things I came to suggest tonight is that maybe this slows down a little bit. This thing seems to be really moving along, like all these towns have this desire to have chickens and everybody's jumping in, yeah, we want chickens. And I see a lot of problems with that. I see that it's going to have a quality of life issue with a lot of people. I don't think there's been enough thought put into it. And I don't really know what the big rush is. You know, if the whole goal is to have eggs, fresh eggs, I can't see that that's an urgent situation. And I think we should take more time to find out how the whole population feels about that situation than just a few people that were contacted, saw it on the street, had a conversation. Most of the people seem to like the idea of chickens. I think there's a lot of people in this community that don't even know this is going on. I went and talked to some neighbors, let them know how I felt about it, and they were even surprised about it. So it's really not out there enough that but people are going to be impacted by this if it happens. And it's a quality of life issue as far as I'm concerned. Now, one of the things I'm curious about is that chickens are in the agricultural animal ordinance right now. Is it intended to take it out of that category? Right now, there's already provisions for how those animals are handled and how far away manure thing can be, how far away shelters can be. Are we taking chickens out of the ordinance? The present ordinance where chickens are included? You know, things like that I wonder, because that ordinance talks about having dwellings at least 100 feet from property lines. And manure piles at least 100 feet from property lines. And then I see things about chicken things and 30 feet and all that. And I looked up the ordinance today. I never did that before, but I looked it up today and I could see where chickens were included in all the animals for agricultural type animals. They're in there. And I don't know that chickens smell worse than horses or cows or anything else. In fact, I have a personal opinion, it's a lot worse. When I was a kid, I lived near somebody that had chickens. When the wind was just right, we knew they had chickens. Now, why do we want to have that with people? We have 1 acre properties along my road. They're narrow acres. They're 125 feet wide and long. Our houses are only about 70 feet apart. Now, who would want to go outside and have a barbecue with their friends when the breeze is blowing just right from the chicken coop that's only 100 feet away? It's a quality of life issue. And I don't know why it's so urgent to have eggs. I really don't. I saw something in the paper, some lady that was pushing this point and said that it's good for fertilizer for the property. That makes it even worse. And she also mentioned it's good to have eggs and also it's a meat source. Who in this community can't go down to the supermarket and buy a chicken? I mean, why do we have to consider that a meat source and consider, why are we even thinking about that? I'm really confused why it's so important. But all I'm heard, you know, I'm going to be gathering some people together that are going to speak of this because there's a lot of people that don't know about it, but I can tell you, I really believe this thing should slow down. If nothing else, why don't we take a look at some of the other communities that are just now adopting this chicken thing, this Cabbage Patch fad thing about chickens. Let's just give it a year or two, and then ask them what kind of problems they have. Because I guarantee you that the person that handles the ordinance is going to have so many complaints from people for the stink, for the noise. It's going to be more problems than you can imagine.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Gates. I don't know if we got your address at the beginning.
No, I did not get it.
Maybe your address, please?
I'm sorry?
Your address for the
My
record.
address is 88 Oak Shade Road.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments this evening. Judy, you're up. You've got something on your agenda tonight. I'm going to raise your hand.
Hi, Julia Saylor, 2 South Park Road. I come tonight with a bit of anxiety with this. I am representing the Tabernacle Cub Scout Pack 439 and the Education Foundation of Tabernacle Township. We are holding again our annual Tabernacle Fall Festival on October 23rd. And unfortunately, I did not get in our request to put up temporary signage on time. We were able to do that correctly last year. However, I'm sure, as you know, when you work with a committee of people, opinions vary and it takes longer to get things agreed upon. So,
You're kidding.
no, we don't. This is Jen Husted. She is the president of the foundation. We have copies of what that signage would look like.
Sure. Thank you.
The intent would be, obviously, to let the community know about the event, to let passersby and those throughout other communities know about the event, and then, of course, for them to come and attend. This event is supported by our local businesses, Murphy's Market, Moore's Meadow Farms, etc. Many folks last year came, if you recall. We had a family walk in the morning to support education and literacy in our school districts. We had craft fairs, we had food truck vendors, a car show, and of course the annual Touch a Truck that goes on with the Cub Scouts.
So the beneficiary is essentially the Tabernacle Education Foundation?
And the Cub Scout Pack. It is a split event between the two of us.
Okay. All right.
All of the community groups come, the Historical Society is represented, TAA, they come and they are able to then communicate to the attendees what they offer to the community and work to build that network for families.
Do you have another copy of this? Can you give that to Mr. Boyd as well in the back? Okay. So you want to put signs where exactly?
It's written on the paper, so the sign at the top, the long one,
Okay.
we would like to put at the intersection of 206 and Medford Lake Tabernacle Road, Route 532, on one of those corners.
Which corner?
I would love to put it on the corner where Holy Eucharist has their sign typically. I know that part of that property is owned by someone else, but I believe the portion closer to the road is owned by the town, is that correct?
I don't believe so. No.
State of New Jersey.
Yeah, the state of
Oh, the state owns that.
I believe the location or sign though is on Mr. Dolan's estate's property.
Okay. We have tried to get information about contacting them and have not been able to.
Call Town Hall tomorrow.
I
see.
spoke with Lachlan.
And see
Can you
if
speak louder,
Mr.
please?
We'll see if Mr. Dolan, we can find the estate's address for you. I believe it's in Florida.
Are you committed to that location on?
No, I mean, we have a relationship with Beneficial Bank. We can ask them to put it on their corner as well.
I know where who owns two of the four parts of that intersection.
Yeah, I'm not tied to one or the other.
Okay. All right.
The smaller signs we would like to put at one at the intersection of Hawkins Road and 206 on the firehouse property. We have permission from them to do that. One at Carranza Road and Route 206. There's whose property is it that gave us permission? Haas. So that we put it on their property. One in front of Murphy's Market. They're our lead sponsor. And so Mr. Murphy will allow us to put one there. And then for Cranberry Festival weekend, we wanted to put one at 532 and Goose Pond Road because of all the Cranberry Festival going back and forth to Chatsworth. The ones at the bottom would be the day of the event only, and those would be at Hawkins Road and 206 where the firehouse is, and then at Carranza Road and Medford Lakes Tabernacle Road, just saying festivals this way.
Okay. We're going to need to entertain a motion from the committee to permit the placement of these signs based on this sheet. Tom, do you have any comments on this?
The only comment I have, Mr. Mayor, is that the 12 by 3 signs are greater than 24 square feet, which would require a permit.
Can you say that again, please?
The 12-foot by 3-foot signs are greater than 24 square feet, thus it would require a permit, Uniform Construction Code permit.
Okay. Let me guess. You've already ordered the signs.
They're in that corner. I just wanted to see them.
Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Boyd, I have a
Parent
question.
volunteers.
We've got, the signs are in the back seat of the car outside. Do you have a recommended course of action for the committee?
They just need to come in and apply for the permit. I don't think there will be any problem for that.
Okay. All right, with that being said, I'll ask for a motion from the committee to approve these signs based on the sheet we've been presented this evening, and provided that the application gets completed from Mr. Boyd.
I'll make that motion. I do have a question, but I'll wait till you get the second.
A second.
My question is there a fee for this also, Tom, or?
There would be a fee for the Uniform Construction Code permit, a minimum fee of $55.
Okay, and I would like to amend the motion then to waive that fee.
Second.
Thank you.
The first and a second. Roll call, please.
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes.
That's for resolution 2016-108.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you.
very much.
While we're on the subject of getting applications in, to make things easier for the clerk's office in terms of preparing our agenda, I'm going to ask the committee for consideration of a motion to ask that any agenda items that will be on our, for our meeting will be to the clerk's office by 4 p.m. on the Wednesday prior to our meeting, which allows the clerk's office the opportunity to be able to get the agenda processed and to get that information together so she can then present it to us. We can approve the agenda and we can move on, and it'll lighten up the load for the clerk's office. I'll ask for a motion at this time.
I'll make it.
Second.
I want to have a little discussion. What about if something does come along? How does that get handled?
If something does come along, that's on a case-by-case basis.
And how would we add that? You could add that then as the mayor, I
Yes.
guess? Or?
Yep.
That's all right.
Yeah, that's how we would do it.
There has to be some way to
Yeah, it would have to
do
go.
that. And I'm comfortable if it's the mayor that's able to do that. I think that's appropriate.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Roll call?
Thank you. Mr. Barton?
Yes.
Mr. Franzen?
Yes.
Mayor Lee?
Yes. Any other comments from the public at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Amanda Williams. Address is 6 Shore Court.
Mayor Lee did not personally speak to me about the chickens, but I came to support the chickens initiative.
Okay.
That's all. Thank you.
Any other comments in the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Christina Hadley, 39 Washington Way. So my husband and I just moved here last month.
Welcome to Tabernacle.
Thank you, love it. I didn't know that there was a restriction for 5 acres for chickens. I thought it would be one, most like the other communities, Medford, towns around the area. And so I wanted to come, my husband and I both are for chickens. I have a few points, if that's okay. I wrote them down.
Okay. I will say, if you want to, we're going to have 2 opportunities to be able to talk on this.
Okay.
If you want to hold on to those until the public hearing, you're more welcome to do it now. But I will say we will have probably more, the rest of the committee will probably be here during the passage of this or not passage of this in October.
Okay.
And if you want to, instead of saying it twice, you can say it once and say it tonight, or else you can say it in October. It's entirely up to you.
That's
the
fine.
3 minutes is yours, so.
That's okay. I just wanted to, make it known that we both are for it, and so I'll come back next time.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, welcome to Tabernacle.
Thanks.
Any other comments from the public? Stuart?
Stuart Brooks, Moore's Meadow Road. I like the idea of having items submitted to the clerk in advance so she can put them on the agenda. I think it's kind of risky to say that you can override that. The Cub Scout sign issue is a good example and point. Yes, it's good to be able to put signs in the appropriate places in the appropriate way, but since it wasn't on the agenda, there's no opportunity to comment on it. It was a motion that was done at the end of the meeting for a good cause, but because it was not on the agenda, it was outside of public comment, and that's the risk of being able to add things to the agenda at the mayor's discretion if they don't meet the schedule that you established for having that information at the clerk. So I would ask that you consider that and weigh it, because yeah, you want to be able to do both, give ample notice and have discretion, but the two are inconsistent. And what happened tonight is a good example. My concern about the one that just was approved was, what are the provisions for removing the signs? Are there any provisions regarding the locations of the signs? Are state permits required to take those? I mean, all those questions never got asked. I'm sure the Cub Scouts will do a fine job. They do every year. But it's that opportunity for public comment that didn't occur and won't occur if you exercise the discretion that you're talking about. Thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, we'll close the public. Need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
I didn't have to do my report.
Late.
Hey, Mayor, he keep his mouth shut. That's fine.
You lost your 3 minutes.
I lost my 3 minutes. I know. How about that? Okay, that's fine. I'll see you guys in a month. No problem. I'll be picking cranberries. The only thing I really wanted to say was we're getting our fire truck, I think, tomorrow or the next day. As soon as the stuff gets on? Okay, all right. Also want to make sure we do get folks to come to this event on the 23rd. I am planning to be in the dunk tank on the 23rd, so if you want to throw baseballs at the target,
Bring ice.
bring ice or whatever. That looks like it might be a lot of fun, but I will be planning to go unless I designate Deputy Mayor Yates to go, which is a real good possibility since I missed the meeting tonight.
There's plenty of spots available.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's all I have, but motion to adjourn, Mr. Barton, Mr. Franz, and all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you, folks.
Hey, how you doing? Good, good to see you. Just jump right in. This is the head of Okay, I'm his assistant, so yeah. We are going to be there.
Are you the one who's talking about it right now?
Oh, yeah, committee meeting I gotta run to tonight.
Sell, that's all she does, you know. Well, the head of the recreation committee in town. Try to be here.